Hello everybody, and welcome to the final painting session for this piece next to me. Today we need to put the finishing touches on the clouds and then do the rings for the portals. Lots to get done. We're gonna dive right in. That being said, let's create.
Here we go! Final bits. So, with the clouds here, I am darkening up the shadows once again. As I moved forward with the painting and had my vibrant colors everywhere, I realized that my shadows, they didn't feel deep enough. So that original dark purple that I put down just wasn't quite dark enough anymore. We're going back in and making that a lot darker. And that can happen as you go forward with a painting, which is why some people really like to do underpaintings, because you can establish all of your values first. But with this one, I just kind of dove in with the colors, so perfectly fine to have to go back in and deepen things up. Big brown brush and circular motions are what we are doing on the clouds, and that's pretty much the same motion I'm going to use for the clouds all the way through the end. It's just a good way to get them fluffy. I'm not trying to keep any sort of a sky color behind them, so it's okay to be really opaque about this. Maybe we'll do some paintings in the future where you paint the sky and then add clouds over top, and in that case you don't always want to obliterate your background from your clouds. That's what gives them an ethereal feel, but for this piece we're going for something a little different. Going in again, darkening up the clouds overall. This one is actually a semi-transparent purple. So it kept some of that opaque purple beneath it, but again, just darkening it up. And here we're going in. I've added a little more opaqueness to the same purple, but just slightly lighter, and this is where I'm going to define the cloud shapes again just a little bit more. And this time, as I'm coming into the clouds, as we did with the pumpkins, I have an idea of where my light source is coming from, which helps me decide where the highlights and where all of the shapes of the clouds are really going to come through. And the light source for me in this painting are the portals that we have where the trees are. That's where I'm imagining any sort of light being reflected is going to come through the painting. So that is what I'm paying attention to as I'm adding in the rest of these details on the clouds. I've switched to a smaller round brush, and this goes back to just use what you are comfortable with and what gives you the right results. You can play with multiple sizes, big ones, small ones. I think a pretty standard size is to have, like a size 12 and a size 8 is always good. I really like having a size 6 on hand. It's just a little bit smaller, but with round brushes, the nice thing is that if you get a good quality one, it'll hold its point really well, which means that even with a bigger round brush, if you're not pushing too hard, which with the clouds I am, that's why I wanted to size down, just to make it a little bit easier on myself. But even if all you have is a bigger round brush, as long as you're not pushing down as hard and using as much of that thicker part of the bristle, you can go really lightly and still get a finer point in a smaller surface area. Here we go. Don't be afraid to let an area dry if it's not coming through as much as you want. Sometimes you have to lighten the color, but sometimes when you're painting over an area that was previously really dark, you can let that area dry and just go over it again and really bring some more opacity to the color that you're using at that time, and that'll help make it pop just a little bit more. Also, acrylics look slightly different when they dry, so when you're first getting started out, that's another good reason to let layers dry so that it'll give you a better idea of what you're working with. Same round brush here, but now I've come to some pink highlights. These are just really fun. I wanted to think of some like fall magical clouds, and I really wanted a contrast to all of the orange and the red that I have in this, so I thought the highlight of kind of a really bright pink would work really well with the purple. And I do just kind of like how all the colors play together. We don't need a lot of this color. This is just my highlight color. And you can get a little sporadic with it, again paying attention to your light source and just adding adding little pops of highlight to, again, establish where the breaks in the clouds are. And when you put that really light color up against the dark purple, that really makes it pop in the middle. Just like right there. I think it adds a lot of depth to a painting. And the last color we are adding to these clouds is a little bit of yellow. I don't want too much of this. I didn't want to go crazy, just little pieces, little pops of color. I love that, and I know I've said that before. I love pops of color, just little bits here and there. Some artists like to use limited palettes and they mix the colors together. I do want to experiment with that, but I get so tempted when I'm staring at my color that I'm like, oh, I just love all of you and I want you all to be in the painting. So I really did let myself have fun with this and put a lot of different colors into this painting, and I'm pretty happy with it. I love that I added in all the different ones. It makes for such a fun visual piece, and I think it made all the colors pop against each other. Okay, last thing, we are moving on to the portals. So this is a fan brush, and the trick here to get those nice kind of scratchy lines is you want a stiff fan brush. You want stiff bristles. They have soft bristled fan brushes, and if you try to use that to get those lines, you're going to have a much harder time, because as soon as you add water to those, they go a little limp and start clumping together. But if you can get some stiff bristles, you don't want to use too much water. You want to keep your paint a little bit thicker, in my opinion. And just dip it in there really lightly, and I'm just brushing. Just very light brushes and going over where I really want to concentrate the color. And my idea here was just to make those portals stand out different from the rest of the colors that were happening around it. And that's mostly what I tried to do throughout this entire painting, is that I considered my palette overall, and I did want to keep the same colors happening throughout it so that it felt cohesive. But as you can see, we are all done, and yes, I kept those colors so that each step was planned when I looked at it, and I would stare at it and go, okay, I don't want this orange next to that orange because that's just gonna look really flat. I wanted all these colors happening, showing the difference, and that really makes them pop against each other. But because you can see the same color reflected in multiple areas of the painting, that's what makes it look so cohesive. This is the painting in its entirety. I didn't really show you guys this bottom here. That's again just the fan brush and lots of strokes. And there's the clouds on the bottom. This is our finished piece. I hope you guys had a lot of fun, hopefully learning something. Maybe you gave it a try just on some areas. Maybe you did the whole painting with me. I would love to hear how your art journeys are going and see what you've been up to. We will be having more fun in the future. I think we'll probably do some shorter pieces though. We're gonna work on trees since I didn't get around to showing you guys the trees in this particular video. Again, I had a lot of fun, and I really hope that you did too. I am looking forward to seeing you guys next time. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, stay creative. All right, bye.